Hi friends, and welcome to Chats with Ash. You're invited to join me in this space where we talk about living out our faith in the everyday, real and messy. Together we can learn to have hope and confidence that God is doing a great work in and around us as He creates beauty from ashes every day. Hi, welcome back to this Chat with Ash. I'm so glad that you're here, but I have to start this episode by apologizing to you because I lied. Not on purpose, but I did tell you in the last episode that I was planning to go a few more weeks in December and then wrap up season 1, but I've since changed my mind, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit more about that at the end of this episode. But I think before we go any further, we have to address the white elephant in the room, because if you're watching on YouTube, I'm pretty sure you've noticed by now, not the Santa hat on the head. No. I'm talking about the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree is only half lit. The top half is bright, the bottom half is dark, and that was not on purpose. This lady was devastated when it happened because I love Christmas. I live for Christmas. Pulling out the obscene amount of plastic totes from our basement and covering the house with Christmas decorations brings me so much joy every year. Love it. Would keep decorations up all year long if I could get away with it. And the night came when it was finally time for us to put up our tree. And Eric was watching. He was watching because I have a character flaw. I don't really let anybody else put the lights on the tree because there's a method. There's a right and wrong way to do this. You need to know. And so I was going about this. And the goal is to make the tree look as if it's been just dipped in Christmas lights. Absolutely saturated. And by the time I was done, let me tell you, that tree was stunning. There were lights from the core to the tip. And I loved it. But as I was stringing the lights on the tree, Eric told me, he said, those are too many lights. And the reason is not because of the number, I'll have you know, no. The reason was because I decided that it would be best to keep all of the lights on one single, extremely long strand. So I enjoyed the Christmas tree lights for 2 days. And on the third morning, I woke up to do what I love to do so much during the Christmas season. I came down in the dark and shuffled my way over to the tree, found the cord, plugged it in, and nothing happened. And basically, I blew out half of the strands. They're dead. And because Christmas decorations are so beautiful, I really wanted my Christmas tree to be beautiful for you if you're watching on YouTube. And then I realized that the thing God had placed on my heart to chat with you about today really ties in well with my rather hideous Christmas tree. So what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about expectations for the holidays and maybe being a little too hard on ourselves when it comes to walking through the Christmas season. I have a question before we really dive into it. Do you have a favorite Christmas holiday? I thought about this for at least 3 days, and I realized I do not have one. And that's kind of surprising to me because that feels so wrong. You should have a favorite Christmas holiday if Christmas is your favorite time of year. The closest I could come to was one year, not so many years ago, Eric proposed to me on December 19th, and I remember being so excited that year to wear his ring to all of our parties and to see family and to show everyone the ring and to talk about planning a spring wedding. It was just a really exciting time, but I kind of thought maybe I would have something from my childhood pop up, but there wasn't any one thing that really stood out to me when I thought back about the memories, and perhaps that is a blessing in disguise because I just had so many wonderful Christmases with family. But I'm choosing to look at this as a really exciting thing because if I ever have a favorite Christmas memory, it just hasn't happened yet. It's something to look forward to and something to hope for. And that hope, that expectation that it could happen can be a really fun thing to carry, but sometimes it's also a letdown because let's just be real. The Christmas tree, it's not always going to be Pinterest worthy. That party that you're having with your family may not be exactly what you had hoped. Dinner may be burnt. The Christmas presents that you ordered, they could get lost in the mail, and any number of things could happen to, quote, ruin the Christmas holiday for you. But God has given us this awesome ability to be able to choose how we're going to respond to it. I find that for myself, more often than not, I respond very harshly when things do not go according to plan. So, and it's not even necessarily that I'm responding harshly to other people as much as it is just beating myself up because I failed and it should be a certain way and it's not. I have a really deep respect and appreciation for those of you who are very sensitive to the needs and the hurts of others during the holidays in particular. I think about those that are going through seasons of grief right now, and it doesn't feel like the most wonderful time of the year at all. I think of those of you who are walking into situations that might cause great anxiety for you. I think about those of you who may be hurt because perhaps a beautiful gift that should bring joy was actually meant to wound you. I don't know. There are just so many different scenarios. But I want to take you to where God has taken me because it's really changing my perspective about Christmas, and it's really very simple. I've been reading this book that has nothing to do with Christmas. It's by an author named Gary Thomas. It's called When to Walk Away, Finding Freedom from Toxic People. And I really appreciate this author's very, very firm biblical stance in a topic that I think most of us as believers struggle to talk about and struggle to know how to deal with. But the last chapter really caught me off guard. It's titled, Don't Be Toxic to Yourself. And I've mentioned several times that over the last year and a half, I've gone through some dark seasons and I've struggled in some ways that I've never struggled before. But this chapter opened my eyes to an area that I think I've been really blind, maybe even willfully so too. And here's something that he wrote that really struck me. He said, anything you wouldn't say to someone else, stop saying to yourself. Toxic self-talk began to die when I realized what should have been so obvious, that Jesus, not me, is the hero in my life. When I expect myself to be what only Jesus can be, perfectly loving, infinitely wise, supremely strong, I'm going to hate myself for falling so far short every day. I have so been there. But, he says, when I accept that Jesus is my hero and will always be my hero, and that his life and grace are my only hope, when I spend more time thinking about his excellence than my pathetic weakness, toxic talk begins to die. And then he wrote on the next page something that I want to, and I have written down and would encourage you to do it as well, especially as we walk through these days, and no matter what they hold for you. He says, don't dwell on where you fail, dwell on where Christ excels. Here's the thing. We all know this. Christmas is about Jesus. But when the season rolls around, I often get lost in the excitement of the right here, the excitement of the things that I can touch and see and plan and do. And I forget that my heart and my eyes should be focused on who the season is really about. And that's the thing, when I walk into the holidays and I have all these expectations of what it should be, all these hopes of what I want it to be, and then things fall short, I get really frustrated, sometimes with myself and sometimes with other people. But the bottom line is, it shows that I'm often wanting to be the hero. I want to be that mom that made the Christmas perfect. I want to be that housewife that had the most beautiful decorations that I can go put on Pinterest. The problem in all those sentences is I am the center focus. Christmas is not about me. Christmas is not about you, friend. Christmas is about Jesus. And if you want to have a really wonderful Christmas, then we have to start there. So will you join me? Will you join me right now in just kind of going back to that Sunday school answer of Christmas is about Jesus, but really maybe for the first time ever, actually practicing what that means. And it doesn't mean that we can't enjoy the traditions and the tangible things here that make Christmas fun, but let's just keep our hearts centered and anchored to who this is about. Before I go any further, before I wrap this up, I guess along the same line, want to share that for season 2, I have been challenged recently by a dear friend who asked me, what is your why? Part of that's because I've been wrestling with, should I continue? And I think in many ways, over the last several months, I've been struggling to not make this podcast about me. And I want it to be about God and sharing Him with you and walking in faith in real life with you. I mean, it's okay that I'm sitting by a half-lit tree. It's the imperfect. But in the imperfect, I want to meet you in community and to be able to share with one another and say, you too. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about what God has laid on my heart for season 2, but He's laid something very specific on my heart. And I have been mapping out a picture of what that might look like and praying about the details of how to execute it. And I'm really, really excited. I, though, do need a break. I need some time to pray about this. I need time to plan it. I need time to just prepare my heart first before the Lord, and then all the other logistics. I'm going to ask you for a Christmas present, if you will. For a gift, would you please say a prayer for me if you're listening to this? Would you pray that God would give me a brokenness first over the sin in my own heart, but that He would also just fill me with a love and a fire for Him above everything else. There are so many different things that pull at our hearts, but I really do want Jesus to be what my heart longs for more than anything. And I really do want to experience what it is to know that He satisfies more than anyone or anything else. And I'm praying the same for you, because no matter where you are, no matter what you're walking through, really what we all need isn't a perfectly lit tree, it's Jesus. And so with that, I'm just going to say, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I cannot wait to see you in season 2. Bye for now. Thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. I really hope that you enjoyed our chat. And if you did, I would be honored if you would take just a moment to subscribe and share. You can also catch up with me during the week at ashleyivester.com. I can't wait for our next talk, but until then, go and grow in grace.